Okay. Hello. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I'm just trying to get my headphones to work.
Okay. I can hear you now.
Great. And also, I'm not Madeline.
Well, I had to use my husband's account, so I changed myself from being Mark to being Susan.
Sorry, I need to. It's been a bit of a morning. I just need to.
Yeah, me too. So, she's going to answer a call. We have a few minutes before it's time anyway, so we're good. A little setup time never hurt anyone.
I'm just going to see if I can get my dog downstairs because she'll start to bark in the middle of the.
Okay. Right. All right.
Come on, Dad. Come on.
Okay.
There you go.
Practice those.
It's okay if you don't rename yourself. It's if you can do it, great. And if not, that's okay too. Well, we know you're Juliet. Are you looking for the place to rename yourself, or do you know? Your audio's off.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my headphones to work. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you for now. We've got school going on in the background, and my husband injured himself, and he's at the hospital right now. He's okay, but so it's all just happening here this morning. So
you're definitely having a morning.
You are having.
So I was just trying not to be distracted because I've got two kids doing school and me all on our different Zooms. So I was hoping to just have it quiet. So
you can concentrate. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good. I can hear you through the computer, but I was just trying to have it through the headphones.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, we've got a little bit more time before we have to start. So
Great.
Go ahead. I logged into the Yarnia one, and I couldn't get into it because it said you're going to wait for the host to start the meeting, and I'm like, wait, I'm the host. That doesn't work. And sometimes stuff like this happens. So, yes. And the more it happens, the more you find solutions to fix it. So, we're good. So I'm just going to start by asking some questions. I'm going to start with you, Marianne. Have you ever crocheted before?
No.
Not at all?
Never. I've tried knitting over the years, more so when I was very young with my grandmother. And then I tried recently, but not enough to, put together a scarf or anything simple like that.
Okay. So you're basically a total newbie for yarn and hooks and needles and
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Juliet?
I started a couple of months ago. I did a little kit from the Woobles where they have the videos online, and I made a little thing. So I've started, but not a lot.
Okay. All right. So Marianne, Juliet's going to be ahead of you. So I like to ask this question to set expectations, because even people who learn to crochet perhaps when they were really young, their muscle memory comes back, and it's different for someone who has never done it before. So
Okay.
I don't like that feeling when people are going, everybody's ahead of me, I'm a failure. And that's not what's
Yes,
going
I
on.
tend to do that anyway, my whole
We
life.
all do. We all want to be A students.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So that said, nobody has to be an A student. First of all, there's only 2 of you. And, do it at your own pace.
Okay.
Okay, second question. Right-handed, left-handed?
Right-handed.
Righty.
Okay, good. Well, not that it's bad to be lefty, but I'm righty too. And I do teach lefty, but it is a sad sight. It's like, oh no, my poor brain. It's not the doing, if I did a whole lefty class, it would be okay. But it's the righty lefty back and forth thing that's like, crazy. Okay, so I have a second camera that I switch back and forth to so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to switch to that camera right now. I might have to make some light adjustments, but I don't think so. I think we'll be good. Pretty good. I'm off the end of the table here. I just have to reposition it. I have a new background that I'm trying to work with. It's like a little fake suede kind of thing. So it falls to the background without being black. All right. So this is a small piece of crochet and what basically we're going to learn today. We are going to start with a foundation chain.
Okay.
We're going to do a row of foundation crochet, and then we're going to do rows of crochet. You're going to be starting what will be a sampler scarf. It's not going to be a thing of great beauty, but it will be an opportunity for you to practice the stitches that you learn today. All right.
Okay.
So with that said, this beauty.
Wow.
I have this for because everybody has a front row seat in Zoom, but when you teach in a class, that's not the case. So this is my hold it up in front of the class so everybody can see the crochet hook. Let's see, where's my other paper? I'm missing a paper. You are going to get a handout, which is hiding from me at the moment, but we can just do this. You're going to get a handout that has the parts of the crochet hook. This is the crochet hook I'm going to work with because it's easier for me to work with. Yours is probably going to have different parts to it. But this is the handle of the crochet hook. This little indentation here is a thumb, a place where you put your thumb. Generally, they're engineered and made, so this is a good fulcrum point for you as you move your hook, around your hook and move it back and forth. It's a good place balance for the hook. Not all hooks have that. This one doesn't have it. You kind of find your own spot to put your thumb. This is the head of the hook. This is the tip of the hook. You push the tip of the hook into the stitches. This is the throat of the hook. And you use this to manipulate the yarn. So the hook goes in, it gets caught in the throat, but then it has to come up here to size it. So like a set of old-fashioned hair curlers, the different size of the hook will make a different size stitch. This one will make obviously a really big stitch and is meant for really thick yarn. This one will make a smaller one. And then there are normal size hooks, which are even smaller than that. So you can see what they look like.
Okay.
This is a Bates hook. You probably either purchased a Bates hook or a Licky hook. The biggest one. Which one do you have, the wood or the metal?
I purchased both because
okay.
I wasn't certain how comfortable my fingers would be because I have thin fingers and they're kind of, not so strong. So
okay.
I wanted to be sure, I wanted to test it basically.
It's a great idea. There are hooks and I'm going to talk a little bit more in other classes about the different configurations of hooks, but hooks are made in slightly different ways and out of different materials. And you will oftentimes need to pair the hook up with the yarn that you're using. If you have a very slippery yarn, you're probably going to go with a wooden hook because hooks are considered stickier. And in a yarn that's a sticky yarn, you're probably going to want to use a metal hook or a well-polished wooden hook or plastic hook. So, I mean, these are basically 3 of the materials they come in. They used to come in other materials, which are been outlawed since.
Mhm.
And then you can look at the hook in this direction too. This is the throat,
Mhm.
the thumb, and the tip. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how the hook is moved. And I'm going to do that. Let me do it with the big hook. So there are 2 ways to hold a hook. Let me do that with this one. You can either hold the hook as though it were a pencil, or you can hold the hook as though it were a knife. My preference is to hold it as, when I hold it as a pencil, I get strains in this part of my hand. So it's my preference to hold it overhand like this, because I can manipulate the hook, but everybody's hands are different and everybody's experience is different. So it doesn't matter to me how you choose to hold your hook.
Okay.
Do what works for you. If it hurts, stop.
Okay.
My favorite thing is people on the internet who go, when I crochet, my hand hurts really, really bad. What should I do? Go to the doctor. All right. So you want to hold the hook like that. And then we're going to talk about how to hold the yarn as well.
Okay.
So when we're holding the hook, we're basically making a motion. I'm going to hold this now in a knife grip. We're basically holding the hook in this position when we start. And I kind of liken it to someone sleeping in bed. And it's going to be a little bit clearer as we go forward when we work with the yarn. We start in this position and we basically catch the yarn and rotate the hook 180 degrees. So your hook will come from lying, like my little character lying on its back, to rolling forward and lying on its stomach. You do not need to rotate back further or back further in this direction. It just comes from here and there and back and forth and back and forth as you work. And you will see in a moment. So I'm going to take a bit of yarn. Let me get in a little bit closer. The first thing we're going to do is a slip knot. Sorry, wrong side of the page, a slip knot. This drawing is very confusing. So I'm going to show you a very simple way to do a slip knot. Watch me. Oh, people learn by repetition. I repeat as many times as you need. And if somewhere in the middle of the class you forgot what I did, please don't be shy. Please ask me. I'm happy to repeat as many times as you need for anything. Sometimes people in the middle of doing go, I forgot. So just ask me. So watch for the moment, and then we'll do it together. I take my left hand and I lay my yarn over my all the fingers of my left hand with the tail in the front. My working yarn, which is the yarn that goes up to my ball of yarn up here, lays up over like this. Now I'm going to hold this in position so it doesn't escape me as I do it. I take my thumb and I press my thumb onto the yarn and make a little sandwich with the yarn between my thumb and ring finger. Then I'm going to take the yarn, put it over my top 2 fingers, bring the yarn around the back, and then I'm going to lay it over the top and make an X. Don't do it yet. Just watch me.
Okay.
We'll do it together. We'll have plenty of time to do it together. Then what I want to do is just open the space in between my 2 fingers. So here's the top of my X, right? My X now. The one I just made is to the left of the original. I just reach in without letting go here and pull, and I have a slip knot. And it's a slip knot because it's very flexible and very easily undone. So watch me do it one more time and then we'll do it together. Tail of the yarn over your left hand, squeeze your thumb onto the yarn on your ring finger. Take the yarn, rotate it over the top of your 2 fingers, making an X. I kind of hold it in here like that with my pinky just so to make it easier. You don't have to. Then I just reach under the first strand, grab the second strand without letting go, and pull up, and I've made a slip knot. This is not the only way to make a slip knot. If you know how to make it in a different way, I don't mind, as long as it turns out to be a slip knot. All right, let's try together. Open your left hand out. Lay the yarn over your left hand with the tail facing down. Squeeze your thumb onto the yarn and onto your ring finger. Take hold of the working yarn. Bring it around the back of your top 2 fingers, across and make an X, and then rotate your hand up towards you so you're looking at the top of your hand now. Reach under the first strand, grab the second strand without letting go of your thumb on the ring finger and pull up, and you have a slip knot. Yay, Juliet did it. And Marianne did it. Good. Do you want to do that one more time before we go on to the next thing? Just so you have a little bit of muscle memory?
Please, yes.
Left hand out, tail down, thumb on your ring finger, squeezing the yarn in position, working yarn over the top 2 fingers, bring it around the back, across the front, make an X. Rotate your hand up, put your finger underneath, or you can use a crochet hook for this. Bring your crochet hook under, grab the second strand, pull it up, and then you have a slip knot right on your crochet hook. I'm going to do that one more time because I added a new element. It's much easier with a crochet hook. Tail in the front, thumb on the ring finger, over the top, bring it forward, make an X, roll the top of your hand towards you, take your crochet hook. So in this case, the crochet hook, the head is pointing down, tuck it underneath the first, grab the second, pull it up. See how I twisted the hook, and then I'm just going to pull. Don't worry if the crochet hook is if the stitch is humongous, because it slides into position. And that's where you should be. All right. Now the yarn should be on the hook so that it slides easily without any effort. We don't need to strangle the hook. If you pull too tight on each of your stitches, you're just going to make your life hard. But it should be on tight enough so that it doesn't shake off. All right. Second part. So even though crochet is done with 1 hook, unlike knitting, which is done with 2 needles, you still need to have your 2 hands working together in concert. And they're going to make a tension with one another so that you can manipulate the hook. If I try to crochet and I have no tension, I have no way to do what I need to do. So my right hand is going to manipulate the hook, and my left hand is going to tension and hold the yarn in position for me so that as I create the stitches, I can make good stitches. Now, when you first go to do this, as a beginner, maybe not you, Juliet, you've done a little bit of this before, we're going to make chains. And a chain and the motion of the chain is the core of all other crochet stitches. So this is important to master. Generally, when you do it in the beginning, some people make them really, really tight. Some people make them really, really loose. And most people make them of all different sizes. So don't judge, just learn. We're here to learn the motion now, not to create perfect stitches. So what I'm going to do with my yarn is I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to bring it up from behind in between my ring finger and pinky. Then I'm going to lay it across my middle 2 fingers, bring it around the back of my pointer finger and lay my slip knot on my middle finger and squeeze with my thumb. I'm going to do that again. If you have, oh, I forgot to say this. I'm probably going to get this recording to you pretty quickly, but if you have your phone near you and you want to take a video of this, this is the thing that people have the most trouble holding in their minds. So if you want to take a little video of that, that's great. But I should be able to get this video to you this afternoon. Okay, so Open your hand again, palm towards you. Take the hook with the slip knot on the hook and bring it in between your ring finger and your pinky. Lay the yarn over your middle finger and ring finger and bring it around the front of your index finger, pointer finger, whatever you like to call it, and lay the slip knot on your middle finger. And then you're going to squeeze the slip knot with your middle finger, and you are now in position to crochet. As in all things, there are other positions people can hold their hands in. I find this is the easiest to learn with first. All right, we good with that?
Yes.
All right, now what's going to happen? Let me get a little bit closer with my camera. Oh, that's better. So remember the motion of my hook? My hook lays on, my little character lays on its back, and then it rolls forward, then it rolls back. So watch this, don't do it yet. I've created a triangle here. Zoop, zoop. See that triangle? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the head of my hook into the triangle, push it back, let it grab the yarn, and roll over on its belly. I'm pulling down slightly on the slip knot to hold the loop open. And don't do it yet, just watch me. And I'm pulling the loop through. If I have the hook rotated all the way around, the shape of the head of the hook mirrors the shape of the loop and it goes through evenly. If I don't, and I have it only part way, it catches. So make sure that you rotate it completely. And then you're going to pull it through the loop, rotate back to this position and push up to size the stitch. I like to put my finger here to hold it. Now, what I would like you to do is we're going to make a whole bunch of chains. And then what I want you to do is to bring up your finger and squeeze the stitch below. All right, let me do that again. We have an audience.
So cute.
Yes. Okay. Oh, let me start from the beginning. So I don't have as much real estate here to do this in. So that goes like that and that and that and that. So there's my triangle. Here's my hook. I push the head of the hook back to where the yarn is, catch the yarn in the throat of the hook, rotate the head of the hook, the whole hook around so that it's pointing down. Then I pull through the loop and rotate the hook back and push up to size the stitch. Then I'm going to squeeze right underneath and do it again. Push the head of the hook back, catch the yarn, rotate the head 180 degrees, pull through, rotate back, size the stitch, move your hand up. Grab the hook, rotate forward, pull through, size the stitch, hold on to the stitch, move your hand up, squeeze.
Oh my gosh. So my tail, so the tail keeps getting in my way.
You, I believe, are going into the wrong part of the stitch. What I see from back here is that you're going in here.
Okay.
And you should be going in there.
Okay, so let me just start from here. Okay.
Please.
So I come around like this.
Yes, yes,
Like this.
yes. And put the knot on the on your middle finger.
Put the knot on my middle or my ring?
If you're put on your middle finger for now.
The knot, okay.
All right. Now, what I want you to do is see the distance you have between here and here is way too long. Just let the hook, try to pull on hold on to it so you can pull on the tail of the yarn, the working yarn, to shorten it up. So the part that's coming out behind your ring, pull on that part and shorten that up. That will make your life much easier. Okay. Now, are you like this? So there's the triangle. Your hook is laying horizontally in front of the strand of yarn. You're going to push that strand back, catch it, rotate forward.
Catch it, rotate forward. Okay.
Turn it all the way around and pull it through the loop.
Okay. Up. There we go. It's tight.
Okay, and I'm going to show you what to do. Did you
Okay.
do it?
I did it. Yeah.
Yay. Okay, so watch this for a moment.
Mhm.
See, this is the loop on my hook. It doesn't count as a stitch. This is my chain. You can see how that moves?
Yeah. Mhm.
If I create a stitch and it's a tendency to pull too tight and I can't get through the loop, that's frustrating. You don't want that. And we don't have to have perfect stitches. So when you make your stitch, pull it out a little bit larger than it could be. If you squeeze at this point right here,
Uh-huh.
the loop is here and the yarn is coming in here. If I squeeze right there and I pull, and I pull on my yarn, it can't change the size of the loop.
Right. So don't
So, right. So when I'm saying squeeze, I'm squeezing right there. So I've left myself a big enough hook because the first thing you need to learn is the motion. So I've squozen, if that's a word. So I go in, turn, and I have plenty of room to move through the hook. And then I move up again. I can elongate my loop a little bit so that I get the experience and pull through.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to squeeze. Are you good, Juliet? Okay. Go in,
Go in,
turn,
turn.
pull it all the way over.
Jeez.
You're doing fine. Remember, you've never done this before,
I
and
know.
Juliet has.
Okay. So then I have to get this all set again.
Right, but you did it.
Did I? Okay.
You got the right fingers, but you got them in the wrong order.
The wrong
The
direction.
yarn comes from the back of your hand
Okay.
before it goes into your pinky. That's right. Then it goes between your pinky and ring finger, over the middle two fingers, around your pointer, and then you squeeze your chain right there. And again, you need to tighten up your
my working
yarn. The distance between here and here, I made mine a little bit bigger than it really ought to be so that it's clear to you. But this should be maybe about an inch.
An inch.
Yeah, not too much, because if it's too big, it's hard to manage.
I see. So that's an inch.
Yeah. So you want to squeeze down. You want to squeeze on the chain now.
Uh-huh.
And squeeze on the stitch below the hook that you have on there. So squeeze this part right here.
Okay.
And do it again.
And do it again. Okay. There.
You did it.
I did it. Okay. So now it's just practice. Now I have to.
So now it's just practice.
Okay. Woo.
It's fine.
Performance anxiety.
Okay. Yes. Except there's only the three of us. So
I know it's nice.
We're not judging.
Okay.
So while you practice that, Marian, I want to ask Juliet some questions.
Sure.
Go ahead.
What did you make?
I actually ended up, it's a kit that you end up making a little animal.
Oh my goodness, you really did do a lot.
Yeah, and it was,
Okay.
so they send it to you and they started the magic circle already.
Oh,
So then you just learn to do rounds.
okay.
So yeah, so I made a little penguin.
Okay. So that means you know how to single crochet.
Yeah, it's funny because because it's all round, doing the chain and the flat, I actually don't have a lot of practice with. So this is why this is great. So
Okay. All right. I'm trying to identify what I can help you with.
Yeah.
So Marianne,
Yes.
you need to work with that some more.
Yes, I do.
Please interrupt us at any point. Hold your hand back up again. Your chain should be on the other side of your middle finger. That's it.
Like
So
this.
where's it? Think about it like a yoga class,
Okay.
like a om.
Uh-huh.
You're basically holding your hands like you're saying om. Om.
Oh, okay.
Right? Does that help?
It does. Yes.
So you're squeezing the yarn here, and the yarn's coming over your pointer finger.
Okay.
Okay.
And the yarn's coming over my pointer. Yes.
All right. But make that space. That piece is way, 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 way too long. So
Yeah.
shorten that up.
Okay.
So let me show you one other thing, Marianne, before I
Okay.
go in. I find that I can take the yarn and
Okay.
bring it over to control it a little bit more. I can bring it over my wrist and do the same thing, and that will slow. So I take the yarn over my wrist,
Mm-hmm.
in between my ring and middle finger, and the rest of it is the same. But that will help you to slow down. And then when your yarn is too tight, you can just pull right there, and that will tighten. Let me pull this up so you
Can you just show me one more time, Susan?
I can show you many
When
times.
I pull it over the wrist, it goes under or over?
It
Under.
goes over your wrist,
Uh-huh.
behind your hand.
Behind my
So you're
hand.
coming out. So all I added to what I taught you before was over your wrist, from
Uh-huh.
front, from lower, from close to your body to away from your body.
Okay.
And all of this is identical.
And
So
then,
this part is the same.
okay.
This just slows it down. It may help you. If it does, great, accept it. If it doesn't, just reject it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So you practice that for a bit. And I'm gonna do this with Juliet for a bit. So Juliet, how many chains do you have?
Mhm.
I can't hear you.
About 12.
Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to chain, which yarn do you have?
I don't know.
Can you hold it up so I can see it?
Yeah.
No, hold up the ball that you have.
Oh, it's just
Sword.
a small thing that I had available. So
Okay.
I don't have like it wasn't a ball. It wasn't something I got.
Oh,
the
you
label.
didn't buy the yarn from Yarnia, is what you're saying.
No.
Okay,
It
not a
was just
problem.
something I had
Not a
to hand.
problem. All right. So, you know what? Let's just do a little practice piece then. All right. And Marianne, you can make that shorter. Too long.
Or two. Okay. And then all of a sudden I drew a blank. Okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt. So then I slip under here, right?
Nope. Stop. Squeeze the chain between your thumb and middle finger. Remember, ohm?
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
you're using the yarn that's coming in the front, not the yarn in the back.
Okay. Oh, the front. Right. Okay. There.
Right? So you're gonna, nope, don't go behind it. You're going in front of it.
Well, I'm
You go in
going
front of it and push, and then twirl it towards you
to swirl it towards me
and pull it in.
and pull it in.
That's it. Let me see you do that again.
Okay.
Squeeze thumb and middle finger.
Okay.
Go put it up higher, right where the yarn is coming in.
Okay.
Your thumb and your middle finger up higher on your chain, right
Okay.
underneath your hook. Good. Now the hook goes in front of the yarn and pushes back. No. Remember the hook goes like this. It's
Okay.
lying on its back. It's sleeping on its back. It pushes the covers, grabs the cover, and rolls over towards you and through the loop.
Through the loop. Okay. Thank you.
All right. And please interrupt us at
Okay.
will.
I will. I will.
All right. So let me go back down here. How old are your boys? Or I only saw a boy. How old?
He's 5, so he's doing kindergarten right now behind me, which is obviously really effective on Zoom.
Oh God.
And I have a 7-year-old as well, but she's pretty self-sufficient. So.
By 7, they're pretty good. I can't imagine kindergarten on Zoom. Okay, so I'm just looking at Marianne.
No problem.
Good. You've got the idea. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Don't worry about that at all. Nobody expects perfection. I just want you to try. Okay, so when we do this first row, the loop on the hook does not count as a stitch ever, nor does the slip knot ever count as a stitch. So when we do single crochet and we have different height stitches, we skip different number of stitches. We're going to skip the first chain. And then I'm going to go into the second chain. So I'm going to, and just watch me for a bit. This is basically almost the same thing, different steps. I insert the hook into the first chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So the yarn over is the same motion as the chain. So here's one that I've done, right? You can see the two little pieces of the crochet stitch out of this hole. Because you're right-handed, it's going to tend to pull to the right and maybe trick you into believing there's nothing in there, but there is. I like to use my thumb as little spacers. So there's my next one. There's the one after that. So there's my hole. It's okay for you to open up the hole. It's going to go back into position anyway. So I push the hook into the top of this top loop of the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So you're doing the same thing that you did when you did in the round, but you are working out straight in a line across the chains. I'm going to get a second bunch of stuff. So that. I have 2 things going on so that I can help each one of you with a sample.
Mhm.
Perfect, except it's too long, Marianne.
It's too long.
Yep, just
Okay.
pull on the tail. You need to have a really short amount of yarn. So watch me do this, okay? So I'm like going to hold my hook really close.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hold my hook, see how little lead I give it? I give it very little lead.
Okay.
So if I give it very little lead, I don't have to make an adjustment. But sometimes I do. And if I have to, I just give it a good tug. So then let me do it again. So I'm going to take the hook. I'm going to push on the strand, catch the strand, whoops, roll towards me, pull through the loop, roll on the back, push up, move up and squeeze,
Mm-hmm.
push on the yarn in the front,
Mm-hmm.
roll over, pull through, push back.
Okay.
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 This takes practice.
Uh-huh.
And you're both going to be at 2 completely different stages. And that's wonderful because there's only 2 of you.
Okay. All right.
So how did you do, Juliet, with your row?
I'm getting there. I guess just going back when you said about the yarn. So what are different types of yarn and what's good for beginners, and or is that
Generally, with a beginner, I like them to use a bulky or a super bulky yarn, and a yarn that holds its stitch shape easily. I think I specified bulky or chill for it. I don't have the whole skeins to show you of it here in this room. It's helpful to have a slightly larger yarn than you have there, but since you already did amigurumi, I would say that this is probably humongous yarn in comparison to the amigurumi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah, this is just what was left over from that, so I figured.
And my only concern in doing that is that you'd be able to manipulate the stitches, and clearly if you made a penguin, you can manipulate the stitches, and I wouldn't worry about it if I were you.
Okay.
I think you're okay.
Because I have what part of my Christmas present was a gift certificate, so I want to come in and get some actual yarn and start doing a bit more.
I saw you, Marianne. You did that very well. You're getting better. So, Juliet, work those stitches all the way across.
Yeah.
However, does a kindergarten teacher get them all to sit and watch the Zoom?
No, I was thinking that. I know.
How the heck do they do that?
Honestly, it's some days it's good, some days it's a disaster. So today is medium. So
Have they had any in school?
no,
Or
not
only
in
virtual?
Montclair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I live
in theory, they're going back in a week or so's time, but I don't know if it will happen.
yeah, it's hard. I live in Wayne and it goes back and forth.
Yeah,
I'm watching you, Marianne. No, not behind. Nope, got to go in front and then twist around. Right. So when you're doing that motion, Marianne, you are creating a yarn over.
Okay,
I
yarn.
mean, a yarn over, and that's going to be part of the instructions for the next part that you're doing. I just want you to identify it. I don't want you to worry about it. Squeeze the chain between, because you need stability, right? That's it. If you
Okay.
have no stability, it won't work. So push the yarn back with the hook, grab it, rotate it forward, all the way forward, and then rotate it through.
Okay. Boy, do I need to practice this.
And you know what? You do, but you're doing very well, and you're being tenacious and calm. So
Inside, I'm not so calm, but thank you.
that's
Thank
okay. We're not judging her, Juliet, right?
no, I'm far too.
She's got
distracted.
problems of her own right now.
Yeah. Getting text from my husband that saying he's getting the tetanus shot and some stitches. So
Oh, did he cut
Yeah.
himself?
he fell this morning and he cut his leg badly. So
Aw.
a neighbor took him to the hospital. So
Oh, over your pointer finger. Behind, that's right. Over your pointer finger. Then lay the chain between your thumb and that's right. Okay. Push back. Got to roll it forward towards you. So you make the yarn over. See how it's yarning? It's like wrapping around the hook. Then make sure that the tip of the hook is pointing down towards the floor.
Okay.
But you got to hold on to the chain because then you have nothing to pull back on. That's it.
That's it. Yeah. Okay.
So it's like, Marianne, walk and chew gum and use a hula hoop all at the same time. That's what I've asked you to do. It takes practice.
Oh my gosh, it's a sorry looking chain, but that's okay.
That is okay. We're not judging it. So you're going to have a choice when you're done. And when you master it, you can either cut it off, put a little piece of paper on it, and put the date on it so that you can look back and say, look, this is my first chain. Look how far I've come. So how did you do, Juliet? Did you get?
So I got to the end, and then remind me to go back. I do a single chain.
Okay, let me show you. I didn't show you that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we got to the end of the hook. Let me just let me do one thing here. I didn't take these out. Yeah. So one of the problems that crocheters have, like you didn't have this problem with the penguin because you were going round and round, but a lot of times when people work flat, they have the problem that they lose their stitches. And so many beginning crocheters make a lot of pyramids. So I like to use stitch markers. Oh, it's out of frame. Let me use the orange, it stands out better. Stitch markers on the first stitch of each row. That way, that stitch will eventually become the last stitch of the next row. So I'm going to take my first stitch here. And I'm going to put the marker underneath the first stitch.
Am I supposed to be watching this?
No. I will teach you all of this when you're ready. Because there's only two of you. It's really not a problem at all.
I'm
actually got in a goblin.
Got it.
Okay. So for when we turn in crochet, we need to make a turning chain. And the turning chain is different heights for different stitches. So in single crochet, the turning chain is chain 1. So some people say chain 1 and turn, or turn and chain 1. It's completely up to you. I like to chain first so I don't forget. So all I am doing is just making 1 chain stitch and then turning my work in the opposite direction.
Got it.
Okay. Then I want to look for my first stitch here. And now for this row and all other rows, we are going under 2. So this is what the top of your stitch looks like. It's a V like that, and it has 2 legs, and you're going to want to put your hook under both legs of the stitch. This is the default for a single crochet. Then you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and all the rest of it is the same. Yarn over and pull through 2. But then I want you to stop there. So then I want you to put the marker on the first stitch you created. So there's a loop on the hook, and right behind the loop is one of those V's. So you put the marker right on that loop. So now you have the first and the last stitch of your piece marked. I need to close the blinds just, oh no, that's okay. Push back. I'm talking to Marianne now. Push back, roll over forward towards you 180 degrees, and pull through the loop.
Sometimes I have to use my other finger to get that through.
That's fine. So I firmly believe, Marianne,
Yes.
that when we learn something during the day,
Yes.
our brain functions and focuses on it, and it's generally like difficult, but after a good sleep, all it gets sorted out in your brain. And
Oh,
when
I
you
like
go to
that.
do this tomorrow morning, it may not be perfect, but it will be easier.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Good. You're getting nice little extra motions with it too.
Okay.
So when you finish that stitch, I just want to review one of the things I told you.
Sure.
All right, so when, let me move this away. Remember this part where this slides in and out? As you go to do this, right, and you
Yes.
have this here, see the part where it slides in and out? If you
Uh-huh.
squeeze right there and leave it nice and large, it will be easier for you to pull through the stitch.
Okay. Yes.
All right, so just slide it up and squeeze the slidey part. I don't know what other thing to call it. The slidey part.
Okay.
Squeeze the slidey part and leave your loop bigger than you really want it to be, just so that, because what I want you, right now, you don't have to do, you're practicing your dance steps. You don't have to do the whole recital. We're just doing the dance step now.
Dance steps. I like
So the movement of your hook is the first most important thing for you. Well, at the place, well, it's all important.
Yeah.
But if you can leave that loop open for you, that seems to be your biggest impediment at the moment, is that the loop is
Yes.
bugging you.
I agree. That is my impediment here.
Okay. So now I have to catch up to Juliet. So Juliet, if you go into the, oh, you, okay. Squeeze the slidey part, Marianne. You're too low. Go up higher.
Like this.
There you go. A little higher.
A little higher.
A little higher. Okay, good. Now roll the hook and pull the loop through.
Oh, I tightened it though.
Yeah, so let it go. Open the loop up, make the loop larger.
Okay.
Take your time.
Mhm.
So, Juliet, I've done what you're doing, and I've come to the last stitch where my stitch is marked. I don't have to pull you can see what happens. The last stitch kind of folds down and away. You don't have to take the marker out right away if you put it in the right place. So I'm just going to go into the last stitch and make my last stitch right over my marker. And I've got 2 nice edges. So you can take out the marker because you want to move it up with you as you go until you really can read your work. So then we're going to do what we did before. We're going to chain 1, turn, let me get some yarn here. Go into the first stitch, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. And then I'm going to mark the stitch right here. And then work across the row to the marker that lives on the other side. I have to tell you this. I had this wonderful dream last night. I think I've been cooped up in the house too much. I dreamt that I was in a huge field like Central Park Sheep Meadow with thousands of people, and we were all singing. It felt so good.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And there was no like leader. It was just everybody like, do you watch Zoe's Incredible, whatever, where everyone like bursts into song?
No, I've never watched that. No.
Oh, it's a really great show.
Is it on Netflix or?
No, it's maybe an ABC show.
Okay.
So you probably could pick up back versions of it on Hulu. But it's very good. She envisions people singing when no one else can see them. But anyway, it just felt so good to be with like thousands and thousands of people and being positive.
Yeah, I like that.
Up higher, squeeze where the slidey part is, Marianne. Just up a tiny bit higher.
A tiny bit higher.
Yep, there you go. You got it. Nope, in front.
Oh, in front, right.
Push back, grab the yarn, roll it towards you, pull it through the loop, and push up. Now move your hand back up. Make the loop, enlarge the loop a little. Squeeze on the slidey spot. There you go. And make a new stitch.
Okay, and then
push from the front. You're not squeezing in the right spot. Go up a little higher. That's it. Good. Push.
Okay, then I
push it, grab it, roll it towards you, roll it all the way over and pull it through the loop.
Oh,
well done.
That was the easiest one I've done so far.
Good. So now make the loop, enlarge the loop a little.
Enlarge the loop.
Squeeze on the slidey spot.
Like here.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're not quite high enough.
Oh, geez. Yeah. You see how when I go to fix this part.
I know when you fix one thing, the other thing comes
apart. The other slides down, right?
Right. Hook goes,
so then
push from the front.
Push from the front.
Push the yarn, yep. Grab the yarn, roll over 180 degrees, pull it all the way through.
Oh, okay.
Good.
All right, so then up high, but make this, okay, like here.
Yeah.
And then over, 180 towards me. Like that, okay.
Much better. Whoa. Don't get ahead of yourself. Enlarge the loop.
Enlarge the loop.
Right, enlarge the loop. Squeeze on the part where the yarn sliding in and out with your thumb and middle finger. That's right. Now push back, grab, roll forward, all the way over 180 degrees and pop it through. So you can see as you do this that one of the motions that I didn't say anything about is the other end of the crochet hook goes up in the air a bit.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Goes up.
Sorry about it. It's,
Oh, this end here?
that end comes up as you pull through, that end kind of pops up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And it gives you a little extra oomph to go through.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. So for you, your job this week is to get your hand position down
Yes.
and understand the tension and just chain, chain, chain.
Change.
We'll get that song for you. Point your finger up.
Point my finger up.
Squeeze between the middle finger and the thumb. That's
Mhm.
it. What is it? Chain, chain, chain.
I love that song. Yeah.
So if get it on your phone and make it your little mantra. Push, grab, roll forward, all the way around. Pick up the other end of the crochet hook, pop it up in the air as you pop it through the loop.
I don't seem to enlarge the tail. You know what I mean?
You need to make the loop a little bit larger.
Yeah, the loop needs to be bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am most concerned that you
Yeah.
keep the correct form.
Okay.
That's what I am the most
That's
concerned
what
with.
you're most concerned
I
with.
don't care if you make 20 chains the whole week. I would rather you made more, but I want you to have your form correct because this motion, this form is all of what you're going to do in crochet. And this
Okay.
is extremely important to master.
I see. Okay. So this,
That's right.
and this.
Okay, make your loop larger. How are you doing, Juliet?
I backtracked a little bit, so I'm
Okay,
just
that's fine.
getting back to where I am. So
That's
where I
fine.
was, so I realized
me
I was
when you
doing
need me.
something wrong.
I just want, while you're doing that, I'm going to go over my notes and make sure that I've showed you everything I want to show you this week. There's one more thing I wanted to show. So Marianne, we're going to leave your learning the single crochet till next time.
Okay.
And I want you to practice your chains. So
Okay.
let me look up here for a second. So even if you only know how to chain, let me
Right.
change my video. This is the skein of yarn that I bought. That was very colorful and pretty. This is
Oh, that is
made of
pretty.
only chains. Let me get it right. So I made myself a fun little scarf, a little
Oh,
piece of leather. My daughter hates the piece that hangs off, so we won't have it hang out. But this is just made with chains. This is one skein, fat skein of yarn.
okay.
And I just, they're all chains. Oops.
Mhm.
And there's a
Okay.
tail hanging off the end that needs to be fixed. But this is just chains. And I chained and then took and wrapped it around a chair so that it was big enough to go around my neck and secured it. That's what this is hiding, the nastiness underneath here. But
Okay.
if you just learn to chain and crochet, you can make yourself a somewhat attractive little scarf, a little cowl. Okay?
Great. Yep. Okay. So, all right. So I'll just
Just
do
keep
this for
practicing.
the rest of the time.
Yes. So I want to show you one
Yeah.
more thing because I
I
think
do need to practice.
we have, we're here till 10, 11, 11:30. So we have like 35 more minutes. But just to take a little break, if you want to take a look at this. This is a drawing of the chains so that when you're making your chain, I think I said this to Julia, but you need to know this to Marianne. When you're counting your chains on the hook, let me get the chains over here. Real chains, pictures of chains. The loop that's on the hook does
Mm-hmm.
not count as a stitch. This
Okay.
is a wannabe stitch, but it doesn't count. And the slip stitch you did at the beginning, unlike knitting, when it does count like a stitch, this does not count as a stitch. So what you do when you counting your stitch is each one of these stitches has like a little V. And you can see as you look at it, there's a little V here. So this is a big V, a little V. The chain itself actually has 3 parts, and hiding on the back are a series of bumps like that, but we're not going to worry about that today. So you just count them. And I find it easiest when you're beginning, when you're first learning to crochet, is to only count the top bumps, the top loops. So here's one. And if Juliet's gone on to single crochet, she skipped this one, but we'll do that with you next week, Marianne. So this is a chain, this is a chain, this is a chain, this is a chain, and you would count them like that. So you can either count the V's, I see V's,
Yeah,
but you can also just count the top loops. So you have some sense, because a lot of times people go, I don't know how to count this. So you're going to learn how to make the stitches. You need to learn how to read your crochet work, and then we'll do a little bit of pattern reading.
Okay.
But just keep it up. Keep practicing. So one of the things that's going to happen is later on this afternoon, I'm going to send you a handout, and the handout is going to have a picture of the parts of the crochet hook and a little description on how to chain and how to single crochet. Marianne, you can ignore the part on the single crochet for right now.
Okay.
So one of the issues that I find that I have with this, and it may be because of the yarn I'm using, even though I don't feel like I've done tight stitches, I find it very hard to put my my hook through. So
Okay.
I don't know if I've done them too tight or.
Are you tugging at all?
Not really. So that's why I went back and did them, and I felt like I was doing them with what I would call it, it just felt easy, like doing. So I had the chain, and then I just done the first row, and it didn't feel tight. But now when I'm trying to do the second row, it's so tight.
What size crochet hook are you using?
This one's a 4 mil.
Okay.
So
here's the deal. In regular crocheting, you would be using, it appears to me that you have a worsted weight yarn, which means you would be using at least a 5 hook or a 5.5 hook.
Okay.
So part of the issue is that your hook is too small, and you probably have a hook in relationship to that yarn, because in amigurumi you have to make it tight, otherwise the stuffing puffs out.
Right.
So you need to get some other hooks.
See, I was going to say, I do it.
If you were to, I don't have any label with me. If you were in the store and you were looking at a yarn, do you have the yarn label there?
It doesn't come with one.
It just can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're in the store, no matter what store you're in, each one of the yarn labels contains a wealth of information.
Gotcha.
And the information that's on the yarn ball is suggested hook sizes. Sometimes, sadly, people don't want to acknowledge that there's crochet, and they'll only give you the knitting needle sizes. So roughly speaking, you go by the millimeters. So you had 4 millimeters, which is a G hook. So if your yarn label said that you were supposed to use, the comparable thing in knitting is a 6, I would go up a hook size for crochet.
Okay, so I have a different one here. So let me try it with that and then see if that makes a difference.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you did it, Marianne.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to freak you out, but I want to show you how this should flow as you do it, right? So your goal is to be able to eventually do this. Now I'm having to adjust my yarn each time because my yarn is on the floor and it's pulling too hard. But you should be able to chain like this and evenly. That's going to take time and it's going to take practice, but so that you know, this is the basic movement of crochet in any stitch that you learn going forward. So I want you to practice this so you feel graceful and that you're not over rotating your hook. So it goes in like that, rolls forward and like that. And keep your chain as loose as you possibly can for the beginning, because even when you go on to do the next step, your life will be exponentially easier if your chain is loose. Okay?
And that means this working tail to be loose. That's what you mean, right?
The actual loop on your hook should be loose. So if I do this, let me do some tight ones so you can see the difference. This one's got some, see how it's got holes in it? It's got some air in it.
Yeah.
If I were to do it really tight, like this, this would make it hard for me going forward in the next. So I'm barely getting my hook through here. And you can see how big these loops are as compared to how big those loops are.
Right.
So try to make it as, in the beginning when you're learning, it's going to be loosey-goosey anyway. So, you know, make it tighter, because when I try to go into this stitch, when I go to do what I've just worked with Julietta, it's hard. But if I go over here to these loose ones, it's easy for me to get my hook in. So don't worry about being too loose first. Worry about being too tight.
Okay.
But you've got the idea, and really what you're doing is getting the form and building the muscle memory. And you are, I don't know if it feels like it yet, but I can already see that you've made a big improvement.
Oh, good. Yeah, I feel it. I just, it feels clumsy at the moment.
Yes. I've described it as hooks and strings flying through the air, and this lady thinks that I'm going to make something out of this. How can I do this? But you'll master it. You can do it.
Okay.
Oops, I have this upside down. Well done. If you pull down on the chain too, that will help you open the loop.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
There you go. How you doing, Juliet? You look very contemplative.
No, it's definitely made a difference using this different
Good.
hook. So so yeah, so I think I'll come in and get some more supplies. Are you open by appointment or just in general in this shop?
The store is open. They hold 3 people at a time.
Okay.
So
I
if you
will
get to the
come
shop
in.
and it's full, they just have you wait outside.
Okay. I will come later this week then. And get a few more.
But they're open today, but closed tomorrow.
It'll probably be
They
this
usually
weekend.
open at 11, but on Thursdays, I had to go on Thursday and I thought they were open at 11. I sit in my car for an hour. I don't actually, I only teach for Yarnia. I don't work in the shop.
Gotcha. Of course.
No one should leave me alone with the cash register. I can work out the most complicated knit and crochet patterns, but please don't make me in charge of the money. Make sure that's nice and short, Marianne. That distance between your pointer finger and your work,
Okay.
and make a nice tight tension, and that really helps.
Oh God, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
I'll
Take a breath.
some of the loops are fine, and then all of a sudden I hit like, I guess what they call a wall or something. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it'll take you. You'll be fine. So what you should do is practice every day.
Yes, a
You
little
can,
bit. Yeah.
just, you might not want to keep all these chains. You might want to rip out and begin again. That's completely up to you.
Okay. Two.
Well done, Marianne. So I won't see you again until next Monday. But if in the interim you have a question about something, you can email me. If it's specifically about something in your work, it's helpful for me to have a photograph up close of whatever the problem is, then a more global picture back further so I have some sense of where you are, and a picture of the reverse side. And then I have a better idea of what's happening.
Okay. So each time I go for that new stitch, I have to just loosen that loop.
Until you are doing that automatically on your own, yes.
Yeah. Am I pulling too tightly at the very end? Is that why? Or
Yeah, probably you're pulling at the end, but that's like a normal process of pulling the stitch through.
right.
So pull through, push up in size. There you go. Just don't pull it again.
Oh,
Squeeze at the slidey spot.
oh no.
The closing up of this stitch is frustrating you right now,
Uh-huh.
but that closing up of this stitch will be your friend later, because once you can control that, you'll automatically be able to control the size of your stitch,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have like a personal gauge. Some people are tighter, some people are looser, and that pulling back on the stitch is a positive thing. Right now it's fighting against you, but eventually it will be your friend.
Okay.
So I'm curious, Juliet, what is the thing behind you that's got all the colors of the rainbow in it? What is that? Okay.
It's a wheel, and so for example, we can't make a decision about what movie to watch or what game to play. We can write it and we can spin it. So it's
Oh, cool. That's a great idea.
Picked it up for free from somewhere, and I was like, oh, okay. So when everyone's like, I want to do this, I want to do this.
So it's a peacemaking tool.
Or it just makes things worse, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's something that everyone can turn to. It's the arbiter.
Exactly.
It's the family arbiter.
Exactly. It's not me making a decision and being the bad guy.
Right.
It's the wheel.
And you can't nag it because it's not going to change.
Yeah. And you get to have input. You get to put your choices on there. So
that's great. I like that as a solution. We're all adults in the house. I mean, we could use a thing like that sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you can't decide on what food to have, or
yeah,
and everyone wants something different.
Well, this movie isn't for kids, but we watched the I Am a Woman one with the Rachel Brosnahan movie on Amazon. It started off really slow, but then I really enjoyed it.
What is it called? Rachel what?
She's Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, Mrs.
Brosnahan. Yeah. Completely different role. Totally different role.
Okay.
But watching her emerge from the person she is at the beginning of the movie to who she becomes by the end of the movie is, it's great. It's subtle. It moves very slow burn, but it's really good. I think, yeah, it's definitely on Amazon.
Okay, I have to look it up.
Kind of an adventure, a very quiet adventure, cops and robbers kind of thing.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
There's definitely violence if you don't like violence in movies, but it's suspenseful. And what else did we watch that we like? The Flight Attendant.
Oh.
With I can't remember her name. She's Penny from oh God, nothing's coming into my head today. Very good. That's very, very suspenseful. And I think that's Netflix. You have to have subscriptions to so many things that cost a fortune to be alive nowadays.
I know.
The Big Bang Theory. Penny from The Big Bang Theory. Really, I need to learn her name. It's not fair to her to do that to her.
You're not alone.
Any way that I can grab a fact, I'm happy with.
Yes, I know what you mean. Retrieval is definitely, becoming more difficult.
Well, part of it is being housebound.
Yes,
That the normal like things that keep you whatever are not having to work as hard as before.
I agree. Yeah.
And since I do a lot of knit and crochet, which a lot of it is nonverbal, it's like I need to hold on to my verbal here.
Well, you are by teaching. I mean, the Zooming,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then learning about Zooming and everything else, that's also a brain, like a puzzle in a way,
Or
right?
just being presented with the idea you can't teach live, here, do it on the computer. At first was like, well, I can do anything. If other people can do this, I could do this too. And in the beginning, I felt like a total imposter. It was like, I'll work my way through it. It'll be okay. And I did. And, especially in the beginning, when you're on something that's new and you don't know something or you make a mistake, people are very forgiving because they're living the same thing themselves.
Exactly.
And and then we go through the process of, here's this part of this and that part of that. So you get to discover together. So I think that because it is much easier for me to teach you as two individuals on Zoom than it would be in a classroom.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
And you all get a front row seat of my hands. And so it makes it easier for you to see what I'm doing. It's just, I can't reach into the computer and fix your mistakes for you.
Right.
Which is frustrating. So I need a holographic Zoom. I'm waiting.
I'm just going to run downstairs for 1 minute. I'll be right back.
No problem. How are you doing there, Julia?
I think I figured out another one of my mistakes. I don't think I was doing the stitch right. I think the way you got the chain stitch and then you kind of have your first row and you're just doing one.
Right.
You're just going through two. And then by the time you get to your third row, it's kind of a different stitch again. And I think that's where I was making the mistake. I don't think I was doing it.
Do you want to hold it up?
I've just started again.
Okay.
So there's not.
You want to just look down for a moment. I want to show you the fabric. So it will help you when you're doing it. So this is what the fabric looks like. This is, let me get it as close as I can. Very close. Okay, so this is what your single crochet stitch looks like. This is the two little bars that go into the hole. This is the top of the chain that you were making. So when you work single crochet flat like this is a row of single crochets. This little line back here is the row of single crochets that are facing in the opposite side. So it's those stitches here. So when you're counting the rows, you've got the completed ones in front of you. And then in between, there's like, I call it a gutter. I'm not sure what you should call it, but a gutter. And those are the backs of the stitches from the row before. So half of the rows, the single crochets are facing you and the alternate halves are facing away, but it should look the same on both sides.
Yeah. I think I was missing a step.
Yeah. If you are going through just the back loop or just the front loop, you're going to get a completely different fabric. In fact, let me go and get some.
I was just doing like a one-step stitch rather than going back and yarning over twice. That's what I was doing.
Oh, so you were slip stitching rather than single crocheting, which can make you could make a bulletproof vest out of that. It's very dense.
That's one of the reasons why it was so tight. I'm like,
okay, yes, that would be why it would be tight. Yes. Sorry, I didn't think of that.
No, I'm missing something. I'm like, so I undid it and then I redid it and I realized my mistake. And the bigger hook is helping.
Mommy, I've got something to tell you.
So I was just yarning over it.
Mommy.
So what kind of, I saw a cocoa brownness color, but I didn't see your dog. What kind of dog do you have?
Are you talking to me,
Yes,
Marianne?
Marianne, I'm sorry.
So
Yes.
I have an Australian Labradoodle,
Oh, nice.
and she's 3, but she's still puppy-like. And we have a delivery now of it's funny that it's coming at this moment, but and so we have her locked in the bedroom next door. So if you hear barking, it's just because the delivery people are here. But anyway, but she's sweet. She's very sweet.
We had a lab. He was a puppy till he was 9.
Oh,
He really was. And then he started to age. So he went from being a puppy to becoming an old man. But
oh,
I love labs and labradoodles they're fiercely bright.
but yeah, she is smart. She's smart. She's very sensitive. Like she's very when my children come and go, so I have adult children and they're coming and going, and she gets very when she sees them coming, she's excited, but like hours before they leave, she just is on their heels. She doesn't want them to go. And so it's very sweet.
They're wonderful companions.
They really are. They really are.
They're worth all of the work.
Yes.
So I see stitches that are becoming more even. Your chains look like they're becoming more even.
Oh, good.
Not behind, in
You're
front.
right.
That's it.
If you said that, I got a little too.
So when you come from behind, just so that you know, it's a thing. It's called a yarn under rather than a yarn over. And a yarn under, as you make the movement of the stitch and gather up yarn, you are gathering up far less yarn than you do when you do a yarn over. So if you were to do a whole series of yarn, you would have very tight fabric.
Okay.
And there's a time and a place for it, but it is not the standard.
I see.
So make sure that you push in from the front and have it go, the yarn go over the whole needle and pull through. So you get an adequate size loop.
I see. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me just get this. Oh. A little cheating there.
So Juliet, when you go shopping, to pick out a yarn, you can pick out any yarn that makes you happy that's worsted weight and above. Just make sure it's not a splitty yarn. So when you look at the yarn itself, this yarn has, let me turn this on. Some yarns are single ply and single ply, some yarns are plied. See this is a 2-ply yarn. And this yarn's pretty good because the 2-ply is pretty tight, but some yarns are 2-ply and they're very loose. Do not get a yarn like that. Get a nice sturdy yarn, because otherwise it's going to split with your crochet hook and you're going to find yourself frustrated. Pick a color to work with, because we're going to do some not totally complicated stitches, but more complicated stitches. Pick a medium to light color and make it be either solid or have very, very, very long color repeats. Otherwise, it's going to, if you pick up a yarn that is very colorful, it's going to obscure your stitches and make it harder for you to learn the stitches. But anything you want to pick, there's so many great choices you can.
And they'll be able to help me, won't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you can make, if you don't get that much done, this turns into a cowl where the two ends meet and we sew them together. Or if you have more time, you can turn it into a scarf. So we have about 5 minutes of our time left. Is there something that you need me to review or some question that you haven't answered before we go?
Not at the moment, but you said I can email you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So let me just redo the slip knot from the beginning and do that again, just in case, like Marianne, you decide you want to pull out your chain and begin
Yes,
again?
which is likely, yes.
So let me just redo that and do that again. Here we go. Pull this up just a little higher. All right, so I'm going to take my yarn, lay it over my hand with the tail at the front, my left palm facing out. I take my thumb and push it onto my ring finger. Then I take the working yarn and wrap it around my top 2 fingers, bring it to the front, make an X, and then roll my hand over so my top of my hand is facing. Then I take my crochet hook with the head pointing down, reach in, grab the yarn, pull up and twist, continue to hold on with my thumb and middle finger, my thumb and ring finger, and I've made a slip knot.
Susie, do you mind doing that one more time?
I don't mind.
I'm gonna video it.
Okay, good. All right. My left hand, my palm is facing towards me. My left hand's palm is facing towards me. The yarn goes over the top of my hand with the tail facing, with the tail at the bottom. I take my thumb and I press it onto my ring finger with the yarn squeezed in between. Grab hold of the working yarn, lay it over the top of my hand, pull the working yarn under my top 2 fingers and cross over the strand there and make an X. Roll my hand over so I can see the top. I like to tuck the yarn in here to keep it taut. Then I take my hook facing down, reach under the first strand, catch the second strand, pull it up, twist it, still holding on with my thumb and ring finger, and pull up. And I have a slip knot, which I then adjust by pulling on the tail and the working yarn. So then we want it to be slidey, but not fall off.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, because your chain's going to get longer and longer and longer, and you're not going to probably want all of it, but.
Okay, so I've got 2.
Looks great.
I've got a bit of a hole here. I must have missed a stitch or
That's
something
fine.
here. But
You, you have the idea. So the other thing that you need to do in crochet is count. So count your stitches. I'm going to do that on here. So in single crochet, the easiest part for me to count are these V's. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's a good idea in crochet. Sometimes stitches disappear on us. Know what your stitch count is. And then you might increase by mistake or decrease by mistake, but you'll know.
Yeah, I was trying to do 12 and I've got 13 on this top row.
So somehow, and that's fine.
Somewhere around here, I put in an extra one.
So let me just show you, if you mistakenly go into the same hole twice, I'll show you what to look for. This is chain 1. I'm just going to single crochet in the first one. Let me push this down a tiny bit. If I go into the same hole twice, which is an increase in crochet, which is something that you'll learn later, which you might have done with your penguin. So I've got the hole, I've got my 2 little feet. If I increase, I went into it twice. So if I come across my row and I see I have 2 here, but 4 here, I know I made an extra stitch in there. So that's what you kind of have to like do a little diagnostic. If there's extra, if you put extra stitches in, it's likely to make the hole below it larger.
Yeah, so that's what I did there, I think.
Yeah, could be.
Okay.
So that's really it. And we're good for the week. So it was a pleasure to meet you. Have a good week. Stay healthy and safe. And I will see you back here next week. We're going to stick with this link, the one I sent you today, unless I get another one, in which case I will inform you ahead of time so that you know which link to come in on.
Okay.
It's helpful if we can see each other. Wait, I have to put my face back on to say goodbye. Sorry. Bye. Have a good week.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye.